And hello everyone, it is Peter Sam the Narrow Gauge Engine here, and I am back with Rating the Railway series. I am going to list all of the books in order from worst to best, and I'm going to tell you my opinions overall. This is sort of your finale video of my thoughts and opinions on this series as a whole, and each book, really, that's all it is. Just me rambling into the camera for about 20 minutes. Yay. So let's just kick this thing off. I don't think we should waste any more time. So let's go with book 26. My least favourite book is obviously James the Red Engine. Now, what can I say about James the Red Engine other than do not read this? It's appalling. Yeah, James the Red Engine is just lazy, I'd say. Just very, very lazily written. I think it was written in haste and written in just, it sounds like the process was very quick, and Awdry himself says this was his least favourite book. Can't blame him, really, because this was a bit of a stinker, not gonna lie. I only enjoyed one of the stories, or maybe two, and that's not enough for an Awdry book. I mean, even like most of them have at least 3 or 4 stories that I can enjoy, you know. But, you know, having half, nah. James the Red Engine got 4.75 out of 10 on my ratings as well. So yeah, that's about it for my opinions on James the Red Engine. So we'll move it aside and move on to number 25. So number 25 is Thomas the Tank Engine. Now, yeah, I don't really like this one. I don't like it. I don't dislike it, but I don't like it either. It's sort of in the middle. That's what I'm trying to say. It's all right. I guess, you know, it's sort of the infamous book where Thomas, you know, first appears and everything. And yeah, it has a pretty good feeling when you hold it in your hand. You know, this is the reason for all of the hype over the years. But still, I think there's better, definitely, in terms of story and illustrations and just lore overall. There's definitely better. Not to say that this isn't enjoyable, because it was fairly enjoyable. It's just, you know, there's better competition, and we'll move on to that right now. By the way, Thomas the Tank Engine got a 5 out of 10, which is halfway, which I think really sums up my thoughts on this book. So let's move on to number 24. The 3 Railway Engines. I know I'm really picking on the first 3 books here, aren't I, by putting them last, but it's just plain and simple. I think there's better, and I think as the series goes on, you can really tell it does get better. The 3 Railway Engines is probably the best one out of the first 3. But, you know, it still has its problems. I think it's very niche, is what I'm trying to say. It's very first bookish, I think, and you can really tell that just from the stories alone and the way they were written and how simplistic they are. It's very much kiddie-ish, and I'm not trying to complain or anything about the fact that it's kiddie-ish. I mean, it's a series for kids, well, kind of, but either way, I think, yeah, it was enjoyable. I don't have a problem, you know, from here on out, I don't really have much of a problem with any of these. But yeah, the 3 Railway Engines also got 5. Again, don't dislike it, don't like it. So yeah, that sort of sums up my opinion on this book. Okay, so next up in number 23, with 5.5 out of 10, I believe, is the Twin Engines. Now, the Twin Engines, plain and simple, can't understand half the book, really. Yeah, the dialect that Awdry chooses, while similar to that of the accent that he's trying to portray the engines as, it's just a bit hard to read, isn't it? I mean, even I struggled a bit, and, you know, I'm not saying I'm the smartest thing out there, but, you know, I'm alright. But yeah, Twin Engines, the first 2 stories as well, not exactly the best. Then again, I still enjoy reading this. It's just a struggle, that's all. I think it was very capable, and I think the final 2 stories demonstrated that well. However, first two stories just didn't cut the mustard for me, and that's why it's in number 23. So, sorry, Twin Engines. That's where I'm placing you. Number 22 is where Tank Engine Thomas again resides. Tank Engine Thomas again was only a bit better than Thomas the Tank Engine when we reviewed these two side by side. I will say the red cover is amazing. I think it is probably one of my favourite covers of all. Yeah, on the whole, again, first two stories pretty weak, and it's just a bit, Thomas and the Guard was not much, was it? I don't think it was ever anyone's favourite. But, the last two stories do make up for it somewhat, I think. But yeah, I definitely think it has legs, and very good legs, may I add, because of that sleek cover. I just think it's got legs, alright? Just let them have that. In number 21 is Very Old Engines. Apparently, this is very rare of a book if you're just collecting them as single and not in a pack like I did. But, yeah, Very Old Engines isn't much, if I'm honest. The stories are niche. It's just serving as from a lore standpoint. That's all it serves. And, for me, story always comes first, and I think story is the most important thing. However, it's still cute in its own fun way, and it brings Scarlowy and Rhaenyra together in a nice way. It's just that it's so blatant about being more about lore than it is anything else that I kind of have a distaste for this, if I'm honest. It's just not that fun to read. However, it's still informative, and it builds upon the world, which I can appreciate. It's just story always comes first for me. It didn't come first in this book, which I'm super unhappy about because I think it had legs. But, let's just move on to the next one before I cry. In number 20 is Stepney the Bluebell Engine. When you make your first two stories boring as shit, you get the lower numbers. I think that's pretty much inherent with this. You've got to make your first two stories exciting, otherwise the readers aren't going to read on, And Stepney the Bluebell Engine, it had promise, especially with the cool ass Stepney on the cover. It just didn't deliver, and it did in the last two stories, but just fucking hell, it needs more interesting stuff. And I think, a story needs to be told like that, like they do here. I just think it could have been more interesting. It had more potential. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point, but yeah, it's had potential. It just failed miserably. Definitely, I think it could have been something, but it wasn't. So let's just move on to the next one. Before I keep saying that. I really am repeating myself. It's fucking deja vu town up in here. Jesus. Number 19 is next, and with it comes Edward the Blue Engine. I think this is the first book that fulfilled its actual potential. Its potential just wasn't a lot. With Edward, an already learned and wise character, there's not much story opportunity. And really, all of the stories here aren't really about him. They're about him helping out someone else. For something called Edward the Blue Engine, he really takes a secondary role in all of the stories he's really in. Cows, maybe that's sort of about him, but more or less it's about Gordon and Henry. However, it still was enjoyable, and I think it's the first book here that we've looked at that fulfilled its true potential. It just wasn't much. That's it. I'm sorry, Ed the Blue Engine. You mean well, but you're not you're not the best. That's the only way I can put it. So we'll move on now. Number 18 is Troublesome Engines. Troublesome Engines is a weird one to talk about because I feel like Percy Runs Away was such a waste of a story, especially when Tenders and Turntables could have been split into two. I feel like, again, Trouble in the Shed wasn't that good. I feel like this is the opposite of the other books that we've talked about so far, where the first two stories are the best ones and the latter two really let you down, kind of. I don't know about Percy Runs Away anymore. I'm sort of feeling iffy about it. I don't know about it anymore. Yeah. I'll talk about it more when I get to my re-ranks for season 1 in 2022. But Troublesome Engines. This has legs. It's just the legs become unstable as you get further in, because the first two stories are so good and the last two really let you down. And it's disappointing, but you still have a good time with it. So, yeah, there's not much to talk about with this one. Oh, let's just move on. In number 17 is Percy the Small Engine. Now, again, one that fulfilled its potential. It's just not a lot. Percy just shows himself to be a really useful engine, which, I mean, that's great. Percy and Harold is such a copy of Thomas and Bertie that I sort of despise it, and I despise Harold because of it, kind of. Yeah, the only good ones were Percy's Promise. And I think that's actually it. Yeah, Percy's Promise was the only one that I actually liked. The others were okay, and I think that's what sets it apart. You know, there weren't bad parts. It was all just okay, and then Percy's Promise was really good, and that's sort of what gave it the edge. However, you know, it's not the best still. So I think we move on, slide it over. Now we move on to number 16. Henry the Green Engine with this weird fucking cover on it. Why has this not got the ordinary cover and the 3 railway engines one takes its place? Weird. But maybe this makes it rare. I don't know. It depends how many of these bad boys have been sold. Yeah, Henry the Green Engine is something else. I think it is good. I just think that's better. The Flying Kipper, amazing. Cole, amazing. You know, Whistles and Sneezes was all right. And I think it's just the fact that it has 5 books, 5 stories, kind of shows that Awdry didn't know what he was going to do after Flying Kipper. I think he sort of split it up into 5, mainly to test the waters. But obviously it didn't work because the 4-story formula was good enough. You know, you don't want to add anything else. I think this is the thickest one. Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's get Percy the Small Engine out and test that theory. No, they're still about the same. So I guess Henry the Green Engine's a little bit thicker, but yeah, Henry the Green Engine, it's solid. It feels like it doesn't know what it's doing after the Flying Kipper and after Henry's arc is sort of finished, I guess. Yeah. Henry, you sort of let yourself down with that one, mate. But it's not your fault. I forgive you. Slide it over. Number 15. Gordon the Big Engine. What a big book. I think for Awdry stories, these are good. Television stories, again, I'm going to talk about these re-rankings in January, but I am doing it now. So, you know, we'll see how January my opinion changes. But for now, these stories are good as Awdry stories and nothing much else. Gordon the Big Engine has some amazing stories. Paint Pots and Queens, Off the Rails, you know, some really, really good ones. I think Leaves is in there as well, and Down the Mine. Ones that aren't really about Gordon, but, you know, he features. Yeah, they're solid stories. They're all solid stories. There's just better out there, and I feel like I keep saying that, but there is. And we'll get to the good ones soon. I can see them arriving, but yeah, solid. Mountain Engines is up next, and if you saw my video about it, which I think was one of the best in the series, if I'm honest, Mountain Engines suffers from the fact that we're not in the railway at the start. You know, if we were on the railway from the start, this book would have been that much better. However, it isn't, and that's kind of sad. However, I think that the illustrations do wonders. I think that, you know, there are 4 strong stories. Not exactly decent, but, you know, they have legs. Again, you know, I keep saying that because they're all fucking good. All right, I can't speak anymore. fuck's sake. I might take a break after this bit, but yeah. Mountain Engines is definitely one that you should read. I don't think... The only one that you shouldn't really read is James the Red Engine, because it's a waste of time. But yeah, Mountain Engines is definitely a fun one. But one that suffers from a lack of probably just being on the railway itself. So we don't spend as much time there, we don't know it as much. Yeah, slide it over. Before we get into the top 13, the ones that I actually like, as opposed to respect or don't like, I just want to ask, could you subscribe, like, do all those good things? You know, it helps the channel, it helps me know that you actually want the Chris Awdry saga, because I'm not sure if I want to do it still. So, you know, if you want to like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, it'd help me decide, you know what, why don't we do the Chris Awdry stuff? Obviously, go check out my other stuff as well, my other series that I have going on this channel. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess we'll just go to number 13 now. Get to the top half, the ones I really do like. Number 13 is TOBY, the Tram Engine. Oh, out of shot. TOBY, the Tram Engine is the 7th book, and you know what? It's one I really like. The first story sets up TOBY so brilliantly. There's not one story in here that's not that bad. Obviously, Mrs. Kindly's Christmas is a questionable one, considering that's not really about TOBY as much as it is Thomas. But oh well, I'll forgive it. TOBY the Tram Engine is a delight, and I think it's a very fun one to read. I have grown on TOBY a lot, considering his stories are amazing. Again, get into that in the re-ranks. I'll save it for then. I'm sorry. But yeah, TOBY the Tram Engine, amazing. Slide it over. Okay, next up in number 12 is Small Railway Engines. Now, this is a great... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm out of shot. I keep doing that. I should probably alter the camera. So that, yeah, you go. There you go. Small Railway Engines is one that does everything a new railway sort of idea should... You know, it's done... Its execution is done well. That's what I'm trying to say. The execution done well. All the stories are on the actual railway, and there's no tales or anything. We cut straight to it. We get to the meat of what we're reading about, and I think it's a valiant attempt of bringing new light to the island. You know, it's... The characters themselves are okay, and I think the stories, yeah, they're decent. I just think the lore is what interests me, you know. Obviously, story comes first, still. But I think you know, lore is also present here, especially because this railway was built on the Mid-Sodor Railway, which I find heavily interesting. The stories themselves still solid, I think. Illustrations stand out here the most as well. Definitely a good one to read. Now, from here on out, opinions could change a bit, but in my 11, I had Duck and the Diesel Engine for pretty good stories, alright? And I'm not disputing them, I'm just saying there's better. Pop Goes the Diesel, amazing introduction to Diesel. Oh wait, no, the first one's Domeless Engines, isn't it? One of them's Domeless Engines, I forget. But yeah, regardless, they're all 4 amazing stories. Pop Goes the Diesel, amazing introduction to Diesel. Domeless Engines is a great laugh, and I think it's a great just story in general. Dirty Work is where you get to see Diesel's evil side, and a close shave wraps it all up in a great runaway crash, although they discard of Diesel a bit too hastily, in my opinion. He feels like a force to be reckoned with, a lot more than other Diesels that appear one time, but, you know, it's whatever. I still think this is a great addition to the series, and I'd love to see more of Diesel, not gonna lie. But oh well, we'll move on. Slide it over. So in number 10 is one that actually surprised me. It's Little Old Engine. Is this the first one that's narrow gauge? Oh no, that's the Very Old Engine. But you know, the first one that's properly narrow gauge, you know. Very Old Engines was a flashback. This is sort of around the time as to when it was released. The Little Old Engine has trucks, it has Home at Last, it has rock and roll, it has all of those good stories. I think it's a very valiant attempt, expanded upon the Skarloey Railway, and I really do like it. I think it is really, really cool, and I love how the big engines influence the littler ones in this, especially the younger ones like Duncan and Sir Handel and Peter Sam. I think they're all such good stories, and I love them to bits. Yeah, that's it really. Slide it over. In ninth place is The 8 Famous Engines. I remember reading this as a kid. There's a library near my house that I used to walk to with my mum. And there are a few Railway Series books. Jock the New Engine was one of them. I think Duck and the Diesel Engine was definitely one. And this was the one I remember the most. I think this is the one I had the most. And I could see what like 5-year-old me was thinking. The 8 Famous Engines is dope. Honestly, Percy Takes the Plunge, and among other stories, I think Percy Takes the Plunge is the one I remember the most. And fair play, because I think it is the most memorable one. I don't think it's bad, and I can respect people who put it in first. It's just I don't think it's my favourite. It would have been my favourite as a kid, but it's not mine now. I think there's ones that have overtaken it. So yeah, let's slide over and get to number 8. In number 8 is Branch Line Engines. Yes, of course this was going to come near the top. I mean, come on, Daisy's funny as fuck. And that's pretty much it. Thomas Comes to Breakfast and Percy's Predicament are fun ones as well. Don't get me wrong, I just think the Daisy stuff is the best stuff in here. I love her character, I love her in general. I think she's one of the best characters that Awdry ever created. She's different, and she's different in a fun way. And I think that sort of side of Diesel's is one that's present but often overlooked. So yeah, it's nice to have a Diesel that has that sort of personality of being snooty and uptight and stuff. Yeah, definitely. I think Bullseye's in particular is probably one of my favourites. One of my favourite stories. Yeah, that's really it. I just love it for Daisy and the stories themselves, the illustrations, blah blah blah. All the same reasons that it's what made the Railway Series special. All of the reasons I love this book are what made the Railway Series essentially. So yeah, let's slide it over and move on to number 7. Okay, so in number 7 is Oliver the Western Engine. Now, yeah, this was not supposed to be called Oliver the Western Engine, thus why half of the stories aren't about him. But still, I think, Oliver deserved his own book anyway, so Oliver the Western Engine is definitely a fun one. We have, I believe we have Bulgy in this one. We have Donald's Duck as well. Just very, very fun stories regarding the little western branch of the island. And it's just really good. Honestly, I can't really put into much words now how good these books are, because you'll have to go and see my deeper analysis of these, because I can see how long this video is getting. I don't want you to be here for an hour watching me ramble on. So, yeah, just know this. There are 4 very, very decent stories here. And I love Oliver, mainly because of this book and the episodes that he's in throughout the classic series. I think he's just a wondrous character. Definitely one of the favourites. So in number 6 is 4 Little Engines. Now, this does something really well, and that something is introducing this new railway and making it wondrous and mystical, and having all new characters that are really fun. Love Peter Sam, love Sir Handel, love Skarloey. I mean, Rheneas isn't in it yet, so I couldn't at the time really say if I liked him or not. But you know what? He's a solid character as well. I also like how much the big engines aren't in this, because, sometimes when you're introducing like a new series or a spin-off, something like, I don't know, a construction company spin-off, something like that, and you just implement characters for no reason. I mean, who'd do something like that? I don't know. But, yeah, it's definitely done well, this new railway. It's definitely written well, and I think that it is definitely one of my favourites. So let's slide it across and move on. So as we reach our top 5, I just want to remind you guys, like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. It really helps me out with knowing what you guys like. So if you like this video, like it. In 5th place is Enterprising Engines. Didn't expect this to be this high, but I can see why most people put it this high. Enterprising Engines is one of those where it's got every story that's really fucking good. Again, watch my deeper analysis if you want to really understand why I love this book so much. But yeah, it's a strong contender, especially Escape. And you know, I don't need to explain. You know why it's good. Let's be real. You watch the other parts. I know you. I know where you live. But yeah. Enterprising Engines, solid, and I really like it, and it's fun, and yeah, I can see why it's a fan favourite. Definitely, it deals with darker subjects while still being happy and light and positive in its own way. Yeah, definitely. Watch my deeper analysis of that. Yeah. In number 4 is TRAM My Engines. Remember this one way back in the first episode? I do. And it had a consistent first place rate all the way up until Gallant Old Engine beat it. It had about 8.25 out of 10, I believe. And yes, it has 4 very strong stories. Ghost Train, Woolly Bear, Mavis, Toby's Tightrope. All very fun and very good episodes. I mean, even now, I still think they're really good, you know? And this book I reviewed all the way back in March, so I can't be wrong, right? Even if I still think it now. So I definitely have high opinions of this book. And again, deeper analysis, go watch it. I was very more boring in March because I didn't know what I was fucking doing. So yeah, if you can withstand my boringness back in March, then yeah, go watch it. I'm going to go slide this over now so we can move on to our top 3. So in 3rd place is Gallant Old Engine. Really took me by surprise because they're so good stories. Not one story here I think didn't get below a 4. I think they all got 4s and 5s, and that's really telling. Oh my god, this, again, deeper analysis, go watch it. You get the picture by now. You know, for the other 2, I don't even have to say it. Just go watch the deeper analysis if you want a deeper analysis of why I like this. Gallant Old Engine is superb in every way. I'm talking about the book, not the story, because the story is superb and it's got a 5 out of 5. So it's just filled to the brim with lore and change in the railway and stuff that happens, and it's just so interesting. Really fun. And I promise, if you pick this up, you will not regret it. Definitely. Slide it across. Let's go. In 2nd place is Mainliner Engines. Now, I have to confess, it was very much a toss-up between Gallant Old Engine and Mainline Engines, right? I didn't know which one I wanted, 2nd or 3rd. And in the end, I decided the fact that they tie multiple storylines and multiple stories through the book, throughout the book's length and duration, is phenomenal. I think it does it very well. You know, every story in here has a link to another one, and I think that is telling of how good it is and how much effort and shit went into this, because it's so good. Again, deeper analysis, blah blah, you get the idea. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say for now. The fact that they weave like stuff like Boko and Edward and the Gordon stuff, that is woven throughout all of it, and that is superb writing if I've ever seen it. So yeah, there's only one more book that beats it out, and I think you know what it is. It's pretty obvious what it is, and I think you all knew what it is anyway. So yeah, we'll just slide this across and I'll show you my top pick. Now, of course, in 1st place is the infamous, the obvious Duke the Lost Engine. I think most people either put Enterprising Engines, Gallant Old Engine, or Duke the Lost Engine in their 1st place, and I can see why. Again, they're all great books, but Duke is for me. I grew up on season 4. yeah, that's just, I grew up on that, and every day I'd go around to my nan's house and we'd put on season 4 of Thomas and Friends and we'd binge the shit out of it. And you know what? These 4 stories coming first really helped me love Duke the Lost Engine, because honestly, it's so fun and it's lore filled and it has good story while still, you know, having good illustrations and the lore being present. And it's something you can tell Awdry works on for years. It feels like his actual passion project, because, you know, the Railway series sort of became a job for him. So I guess I understand why he went and did all those things and made this giant railway up. But yeah, it's really good. Again, deeper analysis. I've said it too many times by now, but yes, go watch that video if you haven't already, because honestly, I don't even have to say why it's good, because we all know why Duke the Lost Engine is the ultimate book. It has the balance of illustration, story, lore, and it's just amazing. And especially Sleeping Beauty, where they all wrap it up in a most satisfying way. This could have been the last book. This should have been the last book, if anything. I'm not disputing tramway engines, but, you know, I feel like this felt like the perfect ending to Awdry's reign as a writer. So, yeah, definitely one for the ages. Slide it across. So that's it. My opinion on every Awdry book from the Railway series. Oh my god, what a ride it's been. It's been 6 months. It's taken me half a year to do this, and at times I thought I might as well just give this up. You know, I've done that plenty of times before with series, but yeah, I somehow stuck this one out, and I'm thankful for it, because it actually gave my channel a lot of traction, and I appreciate that. So yeah, if you're here because of this series or any other, just know that, you know, it was fun to make all these series, and I'll be making many more to come, and I hope I only grow. It's something I always think about when I come to the end of a series, especially one as big as this, that gains views quite a bit. You know, I always know I could secure some views with these. Not that I'm, you know, only about that. You know, I'm doing it because I want to. But yeah, it's always nice to know that other people are interested in what I have to say about this. And I always think, when I come to the end of a series, what has this series done for me? Well, it's gained me you guys. You know, there's been a lot of people who've come here because of this, and, you know, other series like the rankings, the original ones, not the ones I'm going to do in January, and Tales from the Railway, and all of those other ones that, you know, that were silly and stupid, and ones that I overestimated having the time to do. Yeah, I'm just waffling at this point, so I'm gonna shut up. My name's been Peter Sam. You've been you. If you want the Chris Awdry stuff, so be it. But yeah, it feels finally great to let this one go. You know, it's been strenuous at times. I can't lie. You know, there's always been gaps between these guys, because sometimes it takes it out of me. But yeah, it feels good to finally end this one, and I'll see you later. So yeah, bye bye.